Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Um, Thank you for making our time again. I just said let me start on that note by appreciating you for making our time of your busy schedule to be able to be a part of this session with us. Have How's your day been?
My day's been wonderful. I'm happy to be here. I think this is fantastic, and I hope that we can, have some good chats about entrepreneurship and answer a few questions and just, give a little bit of advice.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram right now. So you can follow us everywhere. Send in your comments, your questions, and hopefully you get the best answer to your request and questions. And also, I have a very special guest. Fortunately, a few days ago, made it exactly 1 year and I started having live sessions like this. I I get inspired to do this because of my belief in young people. I believe that if we prepare young people who have a better future, if we prepare them quite early, it's going to help us to be able to reduce a lot of mistakes and also to share from my experiences. I'm a young person, but I know that there are certain things that I didn't learn early enough that I don't want people coming after me to also go through such experiences. So creating platform like this, one of those things is what I see that you talk about a lot is how to handle finances quite early. You talk about that. You talk about mentoring young people, building capacity, using your talent and gifts. So I see that on your page a lot. I see a lot of motivational speaking, success tips, everything on your page, and it's been very, very inspiring. One of the things that I notice is that even if I feel demotivated, if I go to your Instagram page, you're gonna post something that will steer me up, motivate me. Like success is hard work. Oh, Philip, what are you doing? Get back on track. So I'm very honored and privileged to have you come here. And for everyone listening, I have a special guest for you today. He's a mentor to young people. He's also the founder of Donkey Canada. He's involved in all kinds of things. He's a speaker, he's a he's a writer, he's a businessman. But more importantly, one of the reasons why I feel so much endeared to him is the fact that building and mentoring young people, that is something that is a big investment. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of sacrifice and everything. So I'm very grateful that you make our time to be with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think the key here is entrepreneurship is really, it's a journey, right? And like you said, staying motivated and staying positive, regardless of what part of the journey that you're in is a it's a very important part. Um, it's got its ups and it's got its downs, and yet at the same time, the key is to stay motivated and to keep working regardless of how things are going, and like you said, the posting positive things on Instagram and social media and stuff like that. It's really, that's how I feel about many things in the day. Is I might see a quote, or I might see something. I'm like, that speaks to me, and so I'll post it, and it might be, I think recently one of the ones that really I loved was how it said, you can work for 4 years and really not see a lot of progress, and on the fifth year you can become the biggest thing on the planet, right?
Yeah,
And
so
so, yeah.
yeah. So like you mentioned now, because all those things sometimes I feel that we a lot of people get easily demotivated with the example that you just gave. Somebody trying something for this number of years, and then how do people stay motivated. Okay, somebody has been staying on one thing, he has everything figured out, he has every plan. Oh, this, if I do this, sometimes motivational speakers will just tell us, oh, if you do this, this will be the end result. If you do this, I worked hard, I did everything, and then I got the result. Some people also want to try those principles, and they are not getting the same results.
Yeah.
So they tend to get tired. So it's not working. How do you think, just to start from there, sorry, permit me to just start from there, because you must have some years of experience. How do people stay motivated after trying something, they are passionate about it, and they give all their best, their energy, the passion, the commitment, and it's not yielding the results that they want? How do they remain or stay motivated and not give up?
Yeah, I think that's that's definitely one of those things that every entrepreneur encounters is those moments where you don't feel that motivation. You may not. Everybody doesn't wake up every day and go, "Yeah, this is going to be the best day ever," and and we're gonna kill it today. And you have those days, and those are exciting, and you have those days where you feel very high energy and very excited about the process, and you name it. I think that having passion for what you're doing really helps. That's one of the key things is, are you passionate about what you're doing? I'm passionate about construction. I love building. I love building things. I've often said I would do it for free. I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid to do it, because I love building things that I know are going to be there for me 100 years after I'm gone. They'll still be there. And the difference, different things that we're building, the difference those make and the impact those make, a social impact or an environmental impact. And the passion helps drive you forward. That will help keep you going. If you are truly passionate about what you're doing, you're going to want to do it regardless of how things are going on that particular day. You're going to want to keep going. And as I said, some of those days are high energy days and some of them are low energy days. And regardless, you stay dedicated to making progress that day, whatever that progress is. You take steps forward. And I think that's one of the key things that you take away from this, is that no matter what it is, make progress that day. No matter how little it is. Maybe it's maybe it's 3 phone calls rather than 5 phone calls that you needed to make. But those are 3 phone calls in the right direction, where you're steering that ship in the right direction that it needs to go. And then it's those little things over the course of weeks, months, years. It's always making that one more step, one more step, one more step that leads you to that place of success at some point in the future. And though the motivation end is important, but the dedication to just moving forward regardless of how motivated you are that day, that's what makes the real difference. That's what pushes you forward. Get out of bed even if you don't feel like it and start working, even if you don't feel it yet, but make those steps. And so yeah, I think that for young entrepreneurs and people who are just starting out in business, you're going to have more days where things are not going your way than days that they are going your way when you start out. You're most there are exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, if you start out in business and you think that in 1 week's time uh you're going to do millions and millions of dollars in sales through making a couple phone calls, that's probably not the reality. The reality is you're going to make 1,000 phone calls and you're going to talk to 1,000 people, and of those 1,000 people, maybe 100 are going to be interested, and of those 100 people who are interested that you talk to, maybe 10 will buy from you. And then you're going to build on that success and you're going to keep going. And that's how these things really build. And it's keeping that motivation after you get, 900 no's, it's about maintaining that motivation, and dedication to moving forward, regardless of the situation, is what's going to bring you to some success. And then you're going to build on that, and then soon those people are going to tell their friends about what you're doing and what you're offering, and that will help build your network, and people will hear your name and will know who you are and go, oh yeah, I got a phone call from him. I didn't buy from him today, but maybe I'll buy from him next week, and things like that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Because sometimes, because also thinking like that, that the first thing that every person needs to sort out is the issue of passion. Are you passionate about what you're doing? Because I have had the experience as well. I've done a lot of things that I just wanted to do it to fill in time,
Hmm.
but I get easily tired. But things that are natural with me that I enjoy doing, even at my lowest times, I'm still going. So the key is passion about what you're doing. But I want to ask a very important question that somebody asked me, because when I said entrepreneurship in young adults, the first question that I received was that, will everyone be an entrepreneur?
um you're saying, could everyone, or will everybody be
Will
an entrepreneur?
everyone? Because some people feel, oh, I have a paid job, I'm working, I'm working and earning a good job. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't like the stress, the rigor. I'm okay with my 9 to 5 job and everything. So now this topic is not for me, so I'm not interested. So it's for people that want to be entrepreneurs. I don't
Okay.
want to be an entrepreneur. So let's talk, say something as when you bring up a topic that is in line with me, then I'll be interested. But I don't want to be an entrepreneur at any time. So this is not for me. So will everybody, or should everybody, or whichever way to present the question, will everybody be an entrepreneur? Should everyone be? Can everyone be? So
You know, that's interesting. I don't think that everybody will be an entrepreneur, or will have the desire to be an entrepreneur. Um, there's certain things that come along with it, that, as I said, there's ups and downs, to every path that anyone may choose. An entrepreneur certainly has a lot of different challenges ahead of them than somebody who works, the 9 to 5 job. And I think that, what will drive people is truly what makes them happy. What's what's their idea of happiness. Everybody's idea of happiness is different. And you know some people love their jobs. They love what they do. They love going to work. They love working the 9 to 5, or whatever their hours may be. They love going to work every day, having that camaraderie with their work colleagues. They enjoy what they do for work, whether it be whatever it might be in the world. And they come home, and they like that when 5 o'clock hits, they get to turn their brain off. They don't have to think about work anymore after that point. Or many people, that's it. 9 to 5, clock in, clock out. And the evening's theirs. Have dinner with the family. Go sit in the yard and have have some cocktails and enjoy the weather, and then go back the next day and do it. And they get their weekends to do whatever they want. Um, that that lifestyle, is very comfortable for a lot of people. The majority of people, I would say, in the world are very comfortable with that. It's structured. It very, it makes life very easy and predictable. Whereas as an entrepreneur, that's not the reality. I've seen different things that say, well, I'd rather work, 12 or 14 hours a day to work for myself than work for somebody else. I fall into that category for the most part. I prefer to, like, I, I mean, I work, it varies depending on what stage of your business you're in as well, and how things are expanding, and you name it. So this isn't necessarily the be all end all for everybody, but But when you're starting out as, say, a young entrepreneur, you want to be successful, you want to make it happen, you better be prepared to put in long days, weekends, evenings, whatever it takes, nights. You may have to find ways to support yourself and your family in the meantime, because you're not going to have the income coming in from your business that you might want from the very beginning. And so a 9 to 5 is very, it starts looking very nice when you when you realize that as an entrepreneur you might work an 18-hour day, just trying to move your business forward, and not make any money doing it for a long time, but you're going to do that day in, day out, 7 days a week. And if you start working with people in different time zones, all of a sudden you're working 20 hours a day and you're sleeping maybe for a few hours, because you're dealing with people on other continents, if that's what your business involves, as does mine. So does everybody want to be an entrepreneur? I think the idea behind it, they love the thought of Richard Branson, on Necker Island and kicking his feet up on the beach and flying rockets, and people love that idea. They love the idea of Elon Musk, and they love the idea of SpaceX and Tesla and all of this. That's a guy who was sleeping on the factory floor for years to make this business go and risked everything in order to make it happen, and has blown up 14 rockets because it hasn't worked out for him yet the way he planned, So like there's the the behind the scenes of an entrepreneur. Your rockets are exploding, they're not always taking off. So like, and I use different examples, of course, but like with Elon Musk, for example, he looked at selling his car company to Apple at one point. He looked at selling Tesla to Apple, because it got to a certain stage, and I'm sure that at that stage he was thinking, this may or may not work. I've got everything invested. I'm working around the clock. This is, like he was looking at one point for maybe he would have an out. But that's an entrepreneur. There is the behind the scenes, the 18-hour days, the long nights, the no money for some time, all of those things. But eventually you get, I say eventually, some people, find success at that next level. And everybody looks to the Richard Branson. Not everybody's going to be a Richard Branson sitting on, Necker Island with Virgin Airlines and all of this stuff. But certainly with perseverance, you're going to find a measure of success, I believe. If you're committed, if you truly are passionate about what you're doing and you want to succeed, regardless of what that cost is, you're going to find some success if you work hard enough at it. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, perfectly, because I think because our target group is young people, and then what you mentioned is very significant for every young person. We see the Richard Branson, we see him on the beach, we see the pictures, we see all of those things, and then we say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, without knowing the years of work, the even family, time away from family, time away from all the things that they also love to do, to put in the work to build a business structure that is standing today. So people just love the fantasies, the pictures. They see them with maybe their children going on vacation, and so, oh, I want to be that. But we don't try to sit down to look at the stories, the experiences, the times that there was nothing to look forward to, and then before they got to where they are today, all the times they also wanted to give up. they have already, if you have an opportunity to sit down with a Richard Branson, you
Mhm.
will be amazed at some of the stories and the experiences he's going to share. So everyone listening, young person, whatever you want to go into business, it takes a lot of sacrifice. Some of the entrepreneurs, big ones that we know today, they they don't do 9 to 5, they do 24 hours around the clock. So
That's right.
all right, thank you very much for that. So now, for a young person, now there are many young people that I know personally, that different categories of young people. Some of them, they have access to funds right now, and they don't actually know what to do with the money. They've had investments, they've had all kinds of things people tell them. If What will you tell your younger self if you had the money right now that you could use to do anything? Let's say a 50,000, a younger self, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and you look back. For example, myself, I said that one of the things I wish I knew earlier was how to handle money. I will tell my younger self, oh, I had access to money. This is what you should do. This. There are many young people that watch this, watching right now, and will watch later. What will you be your advice for
Um,
young people? Yes.
Yeah, I think I mean I'm sure both of us can look back and go, wow, and many people look back and go, wow, I wish I knew that. um, but I think you really keyed on to something there. You know, if you're a young person and you're going into business, understanding how you know, you personally understanding, you need some understanding of, or bringing somebody on who has understanding of you know, accounting, in how it works in a business. So you know, it would be wonderful if everybody had that skill set. But if you don't, then definitely bring on somebody who has that skill set, who can help guide the financial end of things. Without proper accounting processes, without being able to handle your, you know, accounts payable, accounts receivables, you know, inventory, uh, and all of those things in a proper manner, and understand how those systems and processes work, uh, you know, you're going to you're right away, you're headed for kind of a world of trouble. And that's just the reality. You may have the best idea in the world, for, you know, whatever it may be, but if you don't know how to manage the finances,
Mm.
then you're definitely headed for you know, a rude awakening. So I would say that, for somebody getting into business, look at your accounting software. If you have, you know, you're starting out, look at your accounting software. What are you using? Is it right for your business? Is it right for where your business is headed? You know, whether it be QuickBooks or Sage or one of these other, you know, numerous accounting softwares. Is it, are you using a piece of software that's going to take you where you need to go in your business in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? Or are you using something that is not going to take you there? And then you're going to have to be into dealing with, you know, things that young entrepreneurs don't think about right away, but like things like software conversions,
Mm.
in the middle of business. Those cause some of the biggest companies in the world huge headaches, and cost them so much money and damage their business processes because they didn't plan ahead. They
Mm.
thought, I'm going to just grow, and we're not going to think about what we need for, you know, enterprise resource software and accounting systems. We're not going to think about that until we get so big that we can't work without it.
Mm.
And then it's really almost too late at that point to start thinking about it. Then you're trying to run a business while you're trying to implement software well everything's coming and going in the business. So accounting software, ERP systems, plan for where you're going to be in 3 or 5 years. If your business is growing rapidly, as some of my businesses have, we go from 0 to 100 million in a year in gross sales, and you need to plan for where you're headed. Can your software that you're utilizing for the accounting purposes, is it made to take you from, say, 100 million to 500 million in business? Or is it only made for, a company that's doing 10 million in business? Well, then it's not going to have all of the things you need in order to customize it and, for your business to function properly. And customers are going to notice. they're gonna know. They're gonna be like, this invoice looks like something you made up on Word, or you're not going to have that level of professionalism that they expect when you're at that level. You have 100 employees all of a sudden, and you need to, your business functions need to match the size of your business. So those are, that's one of the key things. I would say one of the most key things is that another one that young entrepreneurs, and even myself, this is something that really became apparent to me when I started to build larger companies and larger organizations. And when you have a small organization, let's say, I don't know, maybe 20 people or less, company culture is not as big a deal. Everybody kind of knows everybody. Maybe you have 10 people in your office. Everybody kind of knows everybody, and the company culture isn't such a big deal. But once you get, 50, 100, start moving into the larger spaces, company culture, it really defines your organization. And it's something that I originally, I overlooked it. I thought that as long as I had the business processes, I had the sales, we had the people to run the projects, that would, I thought that would really just drive the organization. But a new organization has no company culture. It has no culture. So you have to create it, and you have to define it. And it's either going to be good or it's not going to be good based on what you do to create that company culture. You start creating events. You start creating a culture of safety within your organization. You have to really look at those things. And I think that's something that's really overlooked. It's really easily overlooked. It's not something that every new entrepreneur will think about as their company grows, but you're creating a company culture whether you realize it or not. So you might as well do it with purpose, and you might as well do it right and have somebody in your organization who is championing that company culture, and a positive one, bringing people together, have celebrate people's accomplishments as they make them, like celebrate wins. You bring in a new contract. Well, it's a celebration it's a win for the company. Make it, make that something that is a big deal, and don't just kind of, like, people want to feel that they're part of something and part of an organization, and they want to see the company they're working for winning. They want to see what's happening. So in the background, you might be winning, and you might be landing contracts, and you might be, doing really well, but your employees don't necessarily see it. And so they might wonder, they're like, are we okay? Have we got lots of contracts coming up? Have we got work for the next few years? But if you actively bring them into that process and say, hey guys, we just landed a $1 million contract that, these guys are going to go to work on, and everybody is excited and feels that excitement. And that helps build the positivity and keep people's morale up. And these are these are things that you may not think about as being important. You think about numbers, you think about, are we doing well financially? Yeah, but are you doing well mentally? Like, is your company doing well in terms of its culture? Do people want to be there? Do people want to show up every day? Those are important things. So just an interesting something interesting, I thought.
That's true. I like the fact you mentioned the company culture, because that's critical to me. And I think it's even important for people, even that want to work with entrepreneurs, to understand the business culture. I think he's going to help you to stay motivated to want to go back to work the next day. The environment, the way things are done, has a way of affecting people. And you also mentioned mentally, you know, very critical for effectiveness, for efficiency, and all of that. So another question that somebody sent to me right now is how, okay, let me read it away. Say, okay, I want to, I have a lot of giftings that I feel I can translate into income, but I don't know anything about business. Where should I start from?
Okay, so that's and this is where it starts. This is where everybody starts, is they have an idea. They go, I am good with graphic design, or
Yeah.
I have a talent for writing, or whatever that talent may be. This person said they have a number of talents that they want to, and they want to be able to utilize that in a business sense. So not knowing too much about their situation, this would be one of those things that you could also test out too. I wouldn't necessarily, say, okay, so, you have a talent for X, okay, quit your job and go work and try that out. That's probably not the best approach right off of the, right out of the gate there. Um, I would suggest that if you have a talent for graphic design, I'm just going to use that. If you have a talent for graphic design, I think that you should look to see what that market is, what this job entails, and what's involved for you to do that as your own business. So you might want to look at some freelancing sites, say online. That would be a good taste of graphic design, for example. You're gonna go on one of these sites, sign up, and you're gonna offer your design services freelance. And so somebody's gonna come to you and say, I have a project, I need you to design a business card for me, or a brochure or something like that. And you're going to negotiate pricing, find out what that is, and then you're going to go about doing that project for this person. And then you're going to find out how long it really takes you and what's involved with dealing with the customers. They're going to come back to you 15 times and tell you that they want changes, they need this change, they need that changed. And are you good with dealing with that person? And are you good with dealing with the customers and what's required to do that particular business? And if you find that you don't like dealing with all the changes, and you don't like that, then maybe that's not what you want to focus on. But maybe you love it. Maybe you're like, yeah, this is great, I love dealing with customers. I found the project to go fairly well. I think that I could do this, more of this. So then start taking on more jobs. Set up a website. Squarespace is one of those places that you can go to set up a website. Advertise your services on there. They're fairly inexpensive and fairly intuitive to set up, say, your own website through Squarespace. And get yourself a phone number, and you can start doing this on the side and in your time, like in evenings, weekends. And if you find that you're getting so much work that it's replacing your current income or current job, then you can make that change. You you can go full on into it. But I would suggest that you kind of you go at it in that sense. I've had friends who have dove into business in a very big way in fields that that they're unfamiliar with, and they mortgage their home and they go, I'm going to give this everything I got. And I kind of worry when I hear that, because they may not have that entrepreneurial experience in the past, and they believe that just because they put everything into it that it's going to succeed. That's not always the case. And I'm not down on ideas, but at the same time, you test it out. That's what I would say. Test it out. Here's an interesting one. One of my first businesses ever that I started, I was 15 years old, and I wanted to do a business, and I loved marketing and I loved advertising, and I thought that maybe as a career person I might be in marketing or advertising, but I was like, you know what I can do? I could sell placemat advertising. So I went to a local restaurant. I was 15 at the time too, so I'm sure looking back, it would have been pretty interesting for me to walk in there. But I walked into every restaurant in my hometown, and I was trying to find somebody who was interested. I said, I'm going to give you free placemats with your logo in the center, and they're going to be designed just the way you want. And I'm going to have the local print shop do them up. And then I'm going to sell advertisements around the outside of this placemat. And that will not only pay for the placemats, so you get them for free, but then, I make a little bit of money from the difference between the cost of the placemat advertising and the cost of printing it, right? So you make a little bit of margin in there. And so I lined up the restaurant who wanted wanted the placemats for free. And then I went and I cold called every business in town. And here I am, 15, cold calling every business in town, telling them that I'm asking them if they're interested. And I managed to get enough meetings to sell all the advertisements on the placemat and bring this project to fruition. Produce the placemats and give them to the business for free. And I did this while I was going to school. So I would do this on my weekends, and after school. And that's when I could only book things, because I had to, I had school, I had homework, I had all of that stuff. And on the side, I did this and I made some money doing it. And it was a great business experience. And I got to experience, the rejection of, hundreds of people telling me they didn't want my advertisements. And then I got to feel the success of the 15 people who did want them. So, but that was all outside of my normal requirements as a student. I didn't quit school. I didn't stop doing my homework. I didn't not do any of my obligations, but I added this additional work to it because I was passionate about starting a business. So, when somebody's starting out, you can do that. You can test it out. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to, stop dealing with your responsibilities. You can do it in addition to that, see if it works, and, repeat it if you want and learn from it. So.
Yeah, I really love all the things you have said, especially the fact that you have to handle rejection. And then when you mentioned the rejection, you smiled and giggled about it. That's one of the questions that somebody has seen. It's getting, I don't know, but I have very important question that somebody sent in, and I also feel is a burning question in the heart of many people, which I'm going to send on the screen right now. I don't know. How has being an entrepreneur affected your family? This is a very important question, and I know the person that asked this question. So I know that this is an important question.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I think that it is a very important question, and I don't see it asked very often. I see a lot of, as we spoke about earlier, I see a lot of conversations about, oh wow, after years of trying, we've like check out my private jet, things like that. You know, those are the ones where people go, it's great to look at the final chapter and not realize the impact and the things that happened to get there. And one of those things is the effect on family. um, and I would say that's one of the big things that happens is that you need your partner. If you're a single person, it's obviously much easier to go into business. Well, in my opinion, it's easier to go into business because you drive the schedule. You may not be there for dinner, and no one's going to complain. No one's going to be mad at you. You know, uh, and but there's different things in terms of family. So I found personally that my entrepreneurial spirit and success at different times, it affected people differently in my circle. In my family, not everybody was supportive. Not everybody was supportive of what I was doing. They didn't understand it. They had worked, their regular jobs their whole life, and that was what they're used to. And so that's what they tried to steer me towards as well. And so I had family members who said, Morgan, why are you working so much? Why are you, why are you doing this to yourself? And why don't you just work a normal job like everyone else does? And those were a lot of the comments that I got from family members. And they really, they didn't understand it. They didn't want to see me go in this route. And different reasons. Some of them may have been jealous because they saw a measure of success that they didn't, they hadn't attained, perhaps, and others just straight up had no understanding of what my drive was, and wanted to see me fall into that kind of slot where like you don't fit, your piece of the puzzle doesn't fit, so we want you to fit, and so you should change to fit. And so from the family perspective, it was definitely, I was disappointed at times because I expected that everybody, your family would be supportive and happy for you. And everybody has a different family, but I found that mine was not. Not everyone in my family was supportive of what I was doing. And so I had to look past that. I had to go, okay, they don't understand what I'm doing. That's all right. They don't have to understand. They're not on this journey with me. I am. This is my journey. And so I carried forward regardless of that. And then I found that, with your partner, it matters, whether your partner that you pick is understanding. Like, do they know what it's like being with an entrepreneur who is very, type A personality, motivated to get things done, has to work, if they have to work through the weekend, you do. If you have to work through the evenings, you do. Whatever it takes to succeed, you have to do that. And so I found that, throughout the years, I had different partners, and some of them were very supportive and understanding. And when I said, I have networking to do, I have to go to dinner with this client, and or I'm going to be late. I have to work into the evening. And some of them were very understanding of that, and others were not understanding of that. They said, well, just stop, just don't go. I want you here for dinner. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm self-employed. If I don't do this, then I don't, then we don't have an income and we don't get to do all of the nice things. You like our vacations every year. So do I. This is how I pay for it. I'm self-employed. So, you know, um, having a supportive partner helps. It helps if your family is supportive as well. If they're not supportive, you need to keep going. You need to keep going regardless, and do what you're passionate about, do what you love, and just understand that not everybody will understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. And it's not their journey, it's yours.
There's a follow-up question to that.
Sure.
The follow-up question is, how do you handle rejections from your business experience? How did you, or how do I? So the person is asking you two parts. How did you handle your past rejections, and how should one handle rejections generally?
Interesting. I think that it depends on the exact context of the rejection, I would say. But for the most part, you have, like, being in business, being an entrepreneur, you're gonna get rejected a lot more than you're gonna have people accept. Whether it's your offer, whether it's, maybe it's you personally, whatever it is, not everybody's going to understand, and not everybody's going to want your product, and so when you get rejected, the whole point, and the whole point, I say, the whole thing around that as an entrepreneur is to just get up and keep going. Like that, like when I cold called people, when I met with business contacts, I was never afraid to hear a no. It's just a no. What are they going to say to you? Hey, do you want this? This is, here's my product. I have this great product. It does X, Y, and Z. And, do you want to know more? No. Okay, great. Thanks. If you change your mind, let me know. And then you move on, and you do that again, and you do that 1,000 times. And you can't let it, personally tear you apart. If somebody says no, if somebody rejects you, in business, like, you just need to move on. You need to keep going. You're going to hear no way more times than you're going to hear yes. And when you finally hear that yes, it's some validation that somebody somewhere sees value in what you're doing. And if you're an entrepreneur, how do you handle rejection? Shrug, carry on, water off of a duck's back, carry on, keep moving forward. Don't let it drag you down. That's how you should deal with it. And how do I deal with it? I try very much to be the same way, and just find a way forward in spite of it, despite the rejection, despite the difficulties. You just find a way to move forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that answer. Now, the next question is, how many hours a day do you work on the average?
And I
Because somebody said, because you mentioned some people work 24 hours, how do they sleep? So how many hours a day do you work on the average as an entrepreneur?
So this one's interesting. It's varied over the years depending on the stage of my business. There have been times where, and this is actually an interesting question, because I always watch this when I see interviews with different successful entrepreneurs and business people out there. Some of them are very like, oh, I'm you only need 2 hours of sleep a night and things like this, and for me, it's varied based on what stage the business was at. When you're an owner operator, meaning you're critical to the operations of the business, you're literally working in your business, as opposed to being an owner who runs the business. You know, they're at 40,000 feet and they're overseeing everything that's happening versus being on the ground and working with everybody. As an owner operator, you're going to be working in your business every day. You're going to be in there working with your staff, making sure things are running properly. And those days as an owner operator, I would typically work, say, 7 a.m. till, say, 6 or 7 p.m. That would be like, I would work a 10 or 12-hour day. A 12-hour day wouldn't be unusual, but my day didn't stop. That was in the office. So, I mean, my day didn't stop when everybody else's stopped. So at that point, I was really hungry and I would need to go have dinner. And so I would eat, and then I would answer emails, into the evening, and basically correspond as needed. So I would typically say that as an owner operator, my typical day was, 12 to 14 hours a day, probably most of the time 7 days a week, but then when you start getting staff, like, you can bring on a COO and you can bring on, key C-suite staff once you've got to a certain size, and you can become more of an owner, then, your requirements shift. You can control your time more, meaning you might only have to check in on your business, that particular business, maybe for, maybe once every 2 weeks. You can check in and get a report and they can give that back to you. And those are the people like you see and I've used Richard Branson a few times for examples, but those are the people you see. They're just getting a report from their C-suite, in their different businesses. And that's why they got time to go and do other things and, parasail and whatever else. But they've already built a business that's functioning at a certain point. So I think as an entrepreneur starting out, be prepared to work 7 days a week. If you're going to be full-time just working on your business, and this isn't a side project, 7 days a week, 12 hours, 14-hour plus a day. And I wouldn't expect to be able to, take a lot of time off, at least in that first, few years while you're building things. And then, after you get people in place, then you can look at, oh, hey, look, I got time for a vacation. So you're busy. You're going to be really, really busy.
You have mentioned, you have answered even a question inside that question, because so many people are under pressure because of the idea of listening to some entrepreneurs that told them that, oh, I work around the clock, and somebody loves to sleep. He believes that he needs enough time to sleep before he can be mentally active. And then he has heard that, oh, you have to work around the clock. I'm not ready to give up my sleep to be able to do that. So I can do business because I think I need 8 hours of sleep for me to be efficient, for me to give my best in anything I do. So, man, I can do this. So you have already mentioned something that's critical for me that I will never forget. It depends on the stage of your business.
Yeah, but and sleep is one of these things, like, everybody functions differently. Everybody's body functions differently. So whenever I hear, these hard and fast rules from celebrities or people like this, oh, you only get to sleep this much and you only need this. Everybody's different. So I don't agree with that. What I think everybody should really look at is what works for them. And I know that when I'm functioning at, my optimum performance, like, I'm a morning person for the most part. And so my optimum performance for me is basically I'm I'm asleep at 11 and I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, or maybe by, maybe 5:30. But for the most part, I only look for that 5 hours of sleep ish, in that range, 5, 6 hours. Um, and that's kind of a peak state for me, though. It works differently for everybody, and then you just work within that. Like I'm so productive, highly productive in the morning, that I
Mm.
like to utilize that time, and it varies at different stages of your life and different times as well. But for the most part, I always found the most productive times for me were between, say, you know, 5:30 and 8 a.m. because nobody was calling me. Nobody was bothering me. I wasn't dealing with, there weren't emails flying in yet. I wasn't getting phone calls yet. And I was able to focus, on whatever my project was or whatever my focus was at that time, and be highly productive in the morning. And some people may find that time to be in the evening for them. Maybe their time is between, and just throwing this out there, but maybe their time's between, say, 8 o'clock and midnight, because they find that the phone's not ringing, things are quiet for them, and then they sleep from midnight till 8 a.m. I don't, everybody's different, but find out what works for you, and then aim for that. And that's, you know it's going to be different for everyone, and it's not always going to be the same. People's routines change, people's lives change, so you work with it as best you can as your business progresses and things like that. But I've found that one of the more difficult things in maintaining proper sleep habits, food, all of those things, you got to maintain your health, but working multiple time zones. If you're working in North America, Africa, China, and taking calls in India, I mean, you are going to have a very interesting time trying to manage that because of the differences in the time zones. And so you're going to have to work really hard to maintain your health and get some sleep, because, at midnight it's the morning in Nigeria, right? And so their day is just starting, and you should probably be in bed, but you're going to be tempted to take phone calls, so you're going to have to figure it out. And so when I was dealing with things like that, I would have to coordinate my schedule so that I would make a call at say, 6 p.m. Their time, in order to coordinate that. Or I make a call at 7 or 8 a.m. my time to deal with somebody in, say, Ghana. And you have to try and figure these things out, but don't think that you can just, I'm going to call you at 3 o'clock your time, which is in the middle of which is 3 a.m. for you, and you're going to function properly the next day, because you're not. So, that's another aspect that you got to look at.
All right. Thank you very much for being practical. And sometimes young people, I like the fact that you are very real and very practical, because young people, we don't want people to tell us, okay, they woke up and everything went very good. The money started coming in, and I believe that's in a fantasy island or in dreamland, and everything just went smooth. Things you don't know. I appreciate your honesty, and also very practical for us, so that we can know that there are challenges, there are struggles in entrepreneurship. So generally speaking, now I've learned a lot. I'm going to put in my notes, but I want you to speak to young people generally, from your experience working with young people, mentoring, and also doing that. What will you tell young people based on the current realities? Things are not going to be the same again in the business world. Everywhere, things are changing. Will you be your advice to young people, whether business, they're passionate about anything. They want to write a book. They want to do anything. What will you are the important values, important things that you think we should take note of for whatever thing we want to venture into, short term or in the long run?
Okay. I like this question. This is good. I think that a key thing for entrepreneurs, and this is something that I overlooked at the very beginning when I got into it, was a key thing is to maintain your health, regardless of what's going on. You know, your business is going to have ups and downs, and in this, in the COVID reality, it's certainly going to have ups and downs. Um, but maintain your health regardless, because it's gonna matter no matter how your business does and no matter how things are going. That's what's gonna carry you forward. So, get your sleep, eat properly, get some exercise. Those are key. If you're not in good shape, and I don't mean physically, I just mean health wise. If you're not in good shape, that's going to impact everything that you do, that day and beyond. So, that's something that we should all strive for, regardless of what you're doing as an entrepreneur. So I think that's a key thing. I neglected that as a young
Mm.
entrepreneur. I worked, and different times I say this, but there are times I worked 24 hours a day. I worked every day. I worked 5 days straight with no sleep at times, and I would do that until I couldn't keep my eyes open, just because I wanted to succeed so badly. But the impact on my health was great, because I wasn't functioning at a peak state, after days of being awake and just working around the clock, thinking that you're super productive. Well, by day 5, you can barely speak. You're just blah blah blah, and people don't even understand you. So health, that matters. Another thing that for entrepreneurs in this, dealing with this COVID world that we're in here, we've really moved into, and you'll see a lot of different articles and a lot of different stuff on this these days. We've really moved into that remote workplace. That is going to be huge. I see a lot of businesses that are talking about going back to the brick and mortar offices, but it's not, even businesses that traditionally, even like mine, in construction and stuff, traditionally they had large offices with just project managers and different staff filling every office that was 10 feet by 10 feet, in size. And so here we are with 15-20,000 square feet of office space to house these workers, and we don't need it anymore. So you, as a young entrepreneur, in this environment, you actually have a huge advantage that you might not even realize, is that you are on the same playing field digitally as every other business. So you can have your website, you can hire workers from anywhere around the world now, from any country you want, anywhere you want. They don't have to be within 15-20 kilometers of your office anymore. You used to have this employee pool that was very limited, and you'd have to look at it and go, how, okay, I need to find these particular workers, but I need to find them all within the 20-kilometer radius of my office, or else I need to move somebody here and incur all of the, costs for moving them and relocating them and hoping that they work out and all of these things. But you can now, through remote operations, cloud computing, in terms of actually, having everything stored online, you can actually do this without those same costs. You don't need the brick and mortar establishment anymore. You can actually do this without any of that, which is fantastic. And that's really going to benefit you. It's really going to make a big difference as you move forward in business. I mean, we can look at hiring people from the East Coast or the West Coast or in other countries now, and really we appear the same as a company that has a large brick and mortar office. There's really no difference. So that's a big benefit for young entrepreneurs. Employee pool, reduced overhead, and the ability to connect it with anybody anywhere in the world. It's different. People are more comfortable with this sort of communication than they were in the past. So if you want to do business internationally, you can contact your trade commissioner's office in whichever country, and they probably have a representative wherever you want to do business, and then communicate virtually via Zoom or whichever platform you're using, and do business with them. Whereas before, people would be like, well, I'd like you to fly down here and I'd like you to have these conversations in person. Well, that's not a reality now. Not until the COVID vaccine is distributed worldwide. So if you can look at it from the positive standpoint, your business can be international without as much overhead or effort. You have easy access to employees. You have reduced overhead. There's just so many things that are going in your favor right now, regardless of where you're doing business or what you're doing for business.
Some people have said a lot of things. I'm not taking any more questions. Somebody's sending another question. We are way beyond time, so I'm not going to take any more questions. I don't want to delay you longer. I will give you all his contact if you want to build a business, you want to reach out to somebody on how to do. I know you'll be willing because he has told us on his page. On his page, says he's building and mentoring young people. So, anyone, I'm going to give his social media handles. So you can follow him, and then you can also send him a DM if you have personal questions on how to build a business. I'm sure you'll be willing to respond to anyone that wants to build a business, or you need advice. You need a mentor as well in business. As a young person, you can find Morgan Reynolds. I know somebody that's very close to me that is being, of help to him in many ways. So I know that he's going to help with that as well. So I'm not taking any more questions. I just want to say a big thank you. Do you know on the average we have like 12 people watching us. We have people watching us on Facebook, on our YouTube, and then on Instagram. It will be saved on my Instagram TV. And then if you want to go back to watch it, I'm going to go back to watch, because as the host, sometimes you cannot grab everything while you are here. So I have to go back to listen again to now take my notes, re-emphasize some of the things about ensuring you understand yourself, and not be pushed by, once you're an entrepreneur, you can't sleep anymore. No, that's not true. So he has been able to debunk that myth that is not true. That's not the way it is. You have to understand yourself. Some people are very effective in the early hours of the day, while some people in the night. So you must understand yourself, what works best for you. You also mentioned the issue of health. Taking care of your health is so important that it's non-negotiable. You need your health to be able to even build business. So I really love that very much, because so many people, they drive themselves until they're unable to give anything again. So all right. So I will email the rest of the questions to you.
Sounds good.
And then once you send it, I will just post it on the social media handles, the question, and then answer from Morgan. Like that.
Certainly.
All right. So I will appreciate if you can still respond to some of the questions. I will send to you via email, and then I will post it for people, and then I will refer the people that ask me the questions to go to the social media handles to see the answers to the questions.
Perfect. I love it. I enjoyed this very much. It was very fun, and as you said, we're over time, but I enjoyed it very much, and I'm happy to be here and happy to have the conversation and answer people's questions of about what it's really about being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. It's not always what you see on TV, so it's nice to have that conversation and just be, as you said, very real about this is what it's like.
All right, thank you very much again. We have many other things to do because I know that you are doing something that is very passionate to me as well, and I believe that this relationship and everything is going to be bigger. Very soon, we're going to have something physical in this location, inviting people from everywhere to come and learn, to come and network, and also build their own business. Telling them your business right now is possible for you to become very big, possible to become very, very big. And I thank you very much. And I will see you very soon.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. That was wonderful. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. God bless you. Thank you. You can watch this again. I'm going to watch again. And we're going to have more conversations to help young people, mentor young people in business, using their talent, their giftings, their finding their purpose. And it's going to be more and more sessions like it. Thank you all for joining us on Facebook, on YouTube. If you want to also see more of this, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Philip Olabisi, and you'll be able to get all kinds of topics on various issues. And then you can also send an email, send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. I will respond to your message. Thank you for joining. God bless you real good. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.